All right, as we take all this in, 2 more trades made by the Pistons, not since we went to commercial break, trying to sum it all up. First of all, they traded for Daniel House from Philly for a 2024 second-round pick. And then they sent Alec Burks and Bojan Bogdanovic, it's a lot of shooting, to the Knicks for Quentin Grimes, who's basically a younger version and not quite as accurate, not quite as good a shooter as Burks, but Quentin Grimes, Evan Fournier, Malachi Flynn, and 2 second-round picks. Now, my first thought is, that's all they got? I would have thought Bojan would have got him more. But is what they got here is cap space, essentially? Is that what we're looking at?
Exactly what it is. It's cap space. It's, I think Bojan is set to make $19 million next season on a partially guaranteed deal. But I'm not. It's an NBA contract. It's hard to understand. I mean, how much on the hook were the Pistons for? I think there was $2 million guaranteed, from what I can tell through Sport Track or Spot Track. So they're freeing up money for the off season, and yet I don't know if anybody really believes the Pistons can be players for free agents of
anyone worth anything.
Of consequence, right? I mean, they're going to go out there and get the next James Harden? I mean, no.
Now, do you have free cap space to take on a huge contract in a trade? That's more likely.
That's the thing. That's exactly, like I mentioned yesterday, with the Pistons having a lottery pick and likely to have a top 3 pick in the upcoming draft, they could make a move in the offseason to trade that for someone of consequence. And the other thing this does is now you're starting. They still have other players you're going to have to jettison for the roster to get down to the proper number here. So with Bogdanovic gone and Burks gone, that's going to give opportunities for other people to step in and have their shot. Now, is it simply
like Fontecchio? And I'm not even joking, right? I mean, he's got to play now.
Fontecchio or whatever his name is. Yeah,
Samsonite Fontecchio.
So there's him, Grimes, but then they watch the guys play last night. Sasser played his ass off last night. Asar Thompson, he had a nice game last night. I mean, you're going to want to play the younger guys, but you just acquired some guys too. And the guys you acquired, I mean, they're on expiring contracts as well, right? So none of this this is such a strange and disappointing season to start off with. And now here we are at the trade deadline. And they had legitimate pieces to trade.
Yeah.
And they're just using it to create cap space. Now, if it all ends up working out, right? If you go into the offseason and you find a way to make a trade to get up, because I think we all agree free agency probably not the way to go with the Pistons. But if you're able to make a trade of serious consequence, then okay, I got you. But right now, this looks awful.
It looks like nothing.
It looks like you traded for absolutely nothing.
Is there any way that this is, and I'm not sure, I'm just spitballing here, is there any way that they've done all this to make a big trade now? To take on a big contract now?
I wouldn't think so, because
I wouldn't think so
you're
either.
still, the contracts don't expire until after the year, so that's when you can take on the salary.
This is a really underwhelming return.
Especially when you felt like you could have got a lot more for Bogey if you would have traded him years before this, right? There was all these talks about, wasn't it first-round picks and things like that? Having players, that could help you right now, and this is the return?
I mean, they didn't get a first-round pick for any of this crap.
No, they got a bunch of second-round picks.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's underwhelming. I'd love to know what Troy Weaver's plan is. I don't suspect he's going to say a thing about, what they're going to do. We're going to try to make a move in the offseason to try to, through a trade. I doubt he's going to say that.
Amari Sankofa just tweeted out at this hour, the Pistons have 19 players, which I believe is 4 over the limit. There has to be other things in the works.
Well, it's not going to be getting players back.
No.
So more cash considerations.
Well, isn't Killian Hayes the one who's asking to get traded?
Yeah.
It's like, why am I still here?
It's like, please send me away.
What? What do you mean what? So the Pistons have acquired who again? I'm sorry, I'm lost.
Malachi Flynn.
Uh-huh.
Did you say Evan Fournier, Doug?
Yep.
And Quentin Grimes.
Uh-huh.
Simone Fontecchio.
Uh-huh.
And Daniel House.
Daniel House, whoever it is. Yeah, it's not even Daniel. It's Daniel.
And
Maybe pronounced Daniel. But.
All right.
And Ryan, what's his name? Archie,
Did they get Archie Diacono in this?
Yes, but that's according to
When did
Wojnarowski.
his name get
They got
folded
him.
into
They
this?
got him according to
He
Wojnarowski.
is the guy that made the great pass in the national
I
championship.
told
game.
you, Doug, you should be happy. And you should also be happy because do you know what kind of streak he's on right now? He's breaking NBA history. He's making it and breaking it.
For what? Most letters in a last name?
He has scored 0 points in 20 consecutive NBA games. 0 points in 20 consecutive NBA games because he's so good at passing, Doug.
What is he, Steven Izzo?
You know what I
No,
want to hear?
Izzo scored.
Boy, finally.
Dude, you know what I want to hear? You know what Brad Holmes kept saying over and over? Is Troy Weaver going to step up at the podium and say all of these moves that we make are intentional? Because this looks like they're intentionally trying to lose.
I mean, I'd love to hear how they're intentionally getting better.
Troy Weaver's receipt looks like CVS right now, man. I just bought chapstick. Well, your receipt's this long.
Listen, honestly, if we look at this 2 years from now and it all works out, then he will have every reason to get up in the podium and start lambasting the media.
Yep.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Lambasted away, man.
You guys laughed when I picked up Evan Fournier.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Right?
Malachi Flynn.
But you know what else? The way these things are getting announced, this started with the Pistons have acquired Quentin Grimes. And we're like, well, what did they give up? Well, it turns out it was Grimes, Fournier, and Flynn, and Archie Diacono, 4 players for Burks and Bojan. Like, the way these things are getting released is really weird.
The Pistons just gave up, 32 points a game? Something like that, between Bojan and Burks.
For a package that includes a guy that hasn't scored in 20 consecutive games?
Oh, man.
Evan Fournier's played in 3 games this
I know,
year.
3 games this year, and he played like 27 games all of last year. Expiring contract.
There's got to be some method to this madness.
Well, we have Marcus Sasser. I like Marcus Sasser.
I do like
So
Marcus.
you're going to play him more, great. But
like
you don't need to
Samsonite.
trade all these other guys to play more Marcus
That's
Sasser.
true.
Okay. I mean, don't really understand it, but
There's going to be an explanation. One of the beat writers is going to say this is all part of a grand plan. They're going to end up with Bronny and LeBron. Right?
Well, one thing's for sure, though. Seriously, though, Troy Weaver's not going anywhere, right? You don't let a man do all these moves, and I don't know what's going to amount to, but without having assurances
Right,
he's
this
going
is
to
like
be here.
Yeah, don't let him burn down the
Yeah,
house on
like-
his way out the door.
I mean, and it's not like any of us really feel like you could have gotten an amazing package for Bojan Bogdanovic
No, but
or Alec Burks, but
You could have got more
But
than
you-
Grimes,
yeah,
Fournier,
yeah.
Flynn, and Archie Diacono.
you're giving up 32 points a game at prices that aren't crazy, by the way, for those guys, and their contracts are coming up anyway. So it's like, I don't get it.
I feel like somebody said to Troy Weaver, "Hey, you think you could top 20 players?" He's like, "Yup. Watch me. We're at 19 and counting."
Bet.
Did Bill Port apply for the job of Piston GM, not the Packers defensive coordinator? This is weird.
Well, I put it through the NBA.
Hey, he's one trade away from saying, "And I want Putney."
Right. If you put this through the NBA trade machine, does it spit out, "Are you kidding me?
Over the limit, over the limit.
Yeah.
You need to get value."
Trader Troy, man.
What is going through your mind?
This is weird.
Well,
There's
day's
gotta
not
be,
over with.
Yeah, I know. There's got to be another shoe to drop here. Why would you ever have 19 players on your roster, 4 over the limit?
I don't know. I don't know.
Cut. And
I mean, they're going to be playing guys get cut. That's the easy thing to do, right?
mm-hmm.
You got these contracts are expiring anyway. You let them go. Oh, boy.